Welcome back to Symax Fintech weekly report. This is part 2, which covers technical analysis. And let's just go through a few charts, just to hopefully give you a bit of insight in, what I'm seeing to help you for the week ahead. Of course, here's a disclaimer that trading involves a loss of risk of capital, not suitable for everyone. Of course, we hope it is for you. And as many companies provide leverage, you can lose substantially more than your initial investment. Everything we're doing here is just really just trying to give you some education on trading, some insight into what's going on. And it does not constitute investment advice or a solicitation for you to trade or invest. That has to be your decision. And of course, you should carefully consider the risks, your financial situation, your level of experience, risk appetite, and of course, you should only risk capital you are prepared, but more importantly, can afford to lose. Any doubts whatsoever, seek financial independent advice, and do that please before you start to risk your capital. So here we go. So this is the Dow Weekly. I've done this one just really to give you an idea of where the markets have come from. And of course, the market has been in this uptrend for over a decade. And, although we had the blip in March 2020, when COVID really started to hit economies, you can see how far we've come from there. So, yes, the stocks have been coming up, especially this year, but we're still a long way up from where we have been. So, buying dips, just be a little bit cautious with that. We haven't got the central bank supporting the markets anymore. They've stopped buying their assets. They're actually looking to start to sell. So I'm not saying they're going to crash, but over the last couple of years, we've been buying the dips. Now we just got to be more cautious about doing that. So here's a daily. As you can see, I've added some levels on there. So we've got a couple of support and resistance in there. The markets are looking vulnerable, but again, it's just, am I going to see it break down on? I'd really want it to see that horizontal line, break that before I would probably think that it's going to go lower. Otherwise, we could start to see a little bit of support come in short term. Again, we're just going to have to see what this week brings. We've got a lot of inflation figures out this week, so I think that's going to tell us a lot and certainly set the trend. This is the Dow on a 30-minute. Again, I've added another resistance level there from what we've been seeing where the market kept rejecting it. I've added a support line in. The pivot points are on there as well to give you a bit of insight to where the levels were on Friday. Of course, you'll get a new set as you do each day for the pivot points. If you're not sure how to use pivot points or what they mean or anything like that, feel free to reach out to us. We'll either give you a brief explanation or, of course, we hold technical analysis courses where we go through all of this. The S&P on a daily, again, they're pretty much very similar, obviously, the stock chart. So we've got a couple of resistance levels in there and we've got a support line. I'm looking at that support line just to see if it's going to hold that, again, that horizontal line. As I say, the markets have moved up a long way, so just be a little bit cautious about trying to buy that on the way down. On the 30-minute, pretty much the same picture. We've seen some consolidation over Friday. It did try and test S1, but that's the first support level, but it held there and rejected it. But it was still below the pivot point. So again, as you can see, I've got some support and resistance levels on there. Let's see what Monday brings. It will be interesting here on the Nasdaq. Again, we'll start with a daily. Got this downtrend. I always start with a daily chart before I narrow it up and finally end up with a 30-minute. And then, the daily is giving me the overall trend. The 30-minute is giving me more sort of intraday opportunities and insight into what's going on. I do use other chart types as well, but for this analysis, I'm just using candlesticks. So we've got a little bit of a downtrend going on there. Again, I've added another couple of support and resistances. The support level looks quite strong for the moment. However, if that's broken, then we could see a test and continue lower down. Again, this is just my insight, what I see from this chart. It's not a recommendation for you guys. Here's the 30-minute. Again, we're sort of in a slightly downward channel here. We again bounced off of that S1. It's very similar on most of the stock indices when this happens. They all tend to follow each other. It's just sometimes the Nasdaq can be a little bit more magnified than the others. And of course here we've seen it sort of close a little bit higher, just with probably a bit of profit taking coming in. Moving on to the Russell. So the daily here, again, we've got a resistance level. The support levels are a bit lower on this one. There's two levels there of support again, but are they going to hold? We'll find out this week, especially with CPI out, as I mentioned. The markets, if CPI is strong, inflation's increasing again, it's going to make investors more cautious. With the 30-minute, very similar sort of scenario. We've got this slight downtrend. Again, support resistance, a couple of resistance levels in there. And as you can see, the Russell actually broke through the S1, but it closed above it. And that's the important thing just for the moment. Pound's been under pressure. The economy is not doing great. They got sort of the government really got paced in the local elections, and it's various aspects that's caused that. We are seeing high inflation in the UK. We do suffer from that once inflation gets going. Sometimes it can be a little bit difficult for us to stop it. So got a couple of resistance levels in there. Support's lower down. It's low, but it doesn't mean that it can't go lower for cable at the moment. And of course, we saw that when COVID hit, when it broke below 115. So let's wait and see. But the pound is under pressure for sure. Yes, we've got a strong dollar, but we've also got a weakness in the pound at the moment. Here it is on a 30-minute. Again, identified a little bit of a support area for the moment. It's sort of going along on Friday in that channel. It's going to be destined to break out this week. Let's see which way it's going to go. Now the euro against the dollar, I do as a weekly to start with. This goes all the way back to the inception of the euro as a tangible physical fiat currency. And it just sort of highlights where it is. And although I've got a support level in there, it's definitely in my mind not a strong support level. It's just the lowest point it's traded for a while. But there's again, I just can't see that much to support the euro at the moment. They're under a lot of pressure, especially sort of food prices, energy prices, and of course some of that's attributed to what's going on with the Russian invasion of Ukraine. So again, just be a little bit cautious about buying the dips on that one. There is a resistance line in there as well. Also sort of a couple of horizontal lines showing you a little bit more, identifying more support and resistance levels. This is the euro against the dollar on a 30-minute chart. So again, it sort of struggled. It was above the pivot point, but it actually closed below that. And on Friday it did get close to S1. That's the first support level, and that's also where that support line comes from, part of it. So again, it's going to be an interesting week. All this inflation data that's coming out, consumer sentiment and all that. Let's wait and see how investors are going to interpret that as the week goes forward. This is Bitcoin. So Bitcoin daily, at the moment it's in a bit of a negative downtrend. It's following the stocks actually. It seems to be quite closely related to and correlated to the stocks recently. And that's something to bear in mind. So if you see stocks going lower, once again, just be a little bit cautious about buying crypto. Again, just my personal view. Here's on the 30-minute. So it was sort of very rangy on Friday. Bitcoin didn't really know what to do. Stocks were down, so it was below the pivot point, but it was just sort of going, just flatlining almost, especially for something that's supposedly so volatile. And just to highlight what I was saying about Bitcoin and the stocks. So this is Bitcoin and the Nasdaq. So the Bitcoin's in black, the Nasdaq's in the red, and you can just see how closely they are correlated on a daily. Again, just to give you a little bit of insight, just to try and help you understand what's going on with these markets. This is the gold daily. So we're probably getting ready for another breakout there. We had a good rally up, of course. It's been coming off, whether that's investors releasing some of their capital to go in and support some of their other positions in stocks or to buy more stocks, I'm not sure. But there's a couple of 2 or 3 actually support levels in there as the market's going to come down. I can't get overly bearish on gold, I must admit, especially if stocks are going to continue to go lower. But that doesn't mean that investors won't need to release capital. So, again, just be a little bit cautious with your levels. Here we see it on a 30-minute. We almost got down at the beginning of the day to test S1. Didn't quite get there. Then we broke just above the pivot, couldn't hold it. And then it closed below it and it became a bit of a resistance level towards the end of the day. It's really important when you're drawing your chart lines on that you get them as accurate as possible. And the reason for that is because, if you're out just by a fraction, that can be the difference between you getting stopped out or making a profit. Here we move on to WTI. Again, a couple of resistance levels. It seems quite strong at the moment. Part of that obviously is caused by a shortage due to what's going on with Russia and Ukraine. And again, there's a nice support line in there as well that comes back from quite a while. On the 30-minute, it's kept pretty much above the pivot point on Friday. It sort of got a little bit rejected at the first resistance level, but it closed quite strong. Again, we're just going to have to see how it starts performing later this evening and tomorrow. So I hope you enjoyed that. I'd love to sort of go into bigger detail and all that, but I have to be careful not to be considered advice to you guys. Of course, reach out. Happy to help you as much as possible. Our daily newsletter does include chart levels, pivot points, my views, and of course, as I mention all the time, we do provide daily workshops, 1-week courses, extended masterclasses, trader mentoring, consulting. We do provide trader education content to exchanges and brokers as well. And if you'd like to contact us, there's our details below. If you want to check out the courses and a bit more about Symax Fintech, feel free. There is the calendar for that. And of course, once again, thank you very much for joining us for this. Have a wonderful week. Have a great week. And hopefully you'll catch up with us again at the end of next week. Thanks very much. You take care. Bye. Good luck.